Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty solid. Woke up half an hour ago, pretty much. So,
Oh, there you go.
but here we are.
I've been there before. Well, I've woken up like not long before, doing one of these shoots, and it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, a little fuzzy.
Try to scramble,
sure.
but that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for being here. The way, I'm really excited to jump into the topic because this is something that I don't know like basically anything about, and I'm really excited to learn more.
Yeah.
But the way I usually start the show is talking to the person about why you're here and how we know each other. We know each other, like several of the guests I've had on so far, from the Jewish community
Yeah.
at Western. So we've been to a lot of the same events and stuff. And
Yeah.
so you're at Western, but where are you from originally, and what are you studying here?
Seattle. I'm studying psychology, and I mean,
nice.
yeah, that major is not going to end up probably being useful to me in the future, but we'll see. Definitely. Well, especially going into this topic too. Which
Sure.
I'm very passionate about.
Yeah, but I guess what made you, even if it might not be something you end up pursuing right away, what made you study psychology, or what's your interest there?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely interested in more of like the healthcare and like therapy kind of aspect of it. I was very interested in being a therapist, focusing on like, substance abuse. Is very passionate about that. I mean, I still am, but
Right.
Kind of the more I'm in school, the more I don't want to be in school anymore, and I'd have to pursue a master's to be able to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Cool. Well, I guess we just jump right into it to maximize our time. So, you just said that you're more passionate, right? You're passionate currently about jewelry and jewelry making and stuff. So I guess tell me a little bit about your history there, your involvement with that, what got you into the space, and why you're involved in it, why are you so passionate about it, as you said.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, I started off by watching, I got like spammed with like, short form YouTube content about like jewelry and stuff. And I'd never been a huge fan. And then I was kind of looking at how these people make this stuff, and I was kind of like, I really wanted like a certain kind of chain. And I was like looking at online, they're so expensive. I was like, maybe I can just make this myself. So I, tried to practice with some silver. I couldn't do it at all. So I was like, maybe we'll dial this back and start making rings. So I started just making like plain rings from scratch. And so then I kind of realized that I love working with my hands, and it's like a very like relaxing kind of mindful activity for me. And so, I mean, I've been doing it for around 2 years now.
Nice.
And it's really fun to see like the growth, if that makes sense. And if I want jewelry, I can pretty much make it myself now, which is pretty sweet to a degree. But
Totally. So yeah, tell me, I guess, let's get into kind of the main stuff you want to talk about. So what's the process like? Where do you source your jewelry from? Or I guess, or not jewelry, but like the stones that go into the jewelry. What does that space look like? What is that like?
yeah, so I mean, for the most part, if I'm making a gold piece, I'll go to a lot of like the gold and silver scrappers. The like kind of seedy shops that you see. It's like, we buy gold. I'll go down there and they'll sell me their scrap at like a good price, and then I kind of just melt it together. And like those stores seem kind of seedy. Everyone I've spoken to in those stores, sweetest people I've met, super nice, super eager to help out. Yeah, which is really cool. And then for the diamonds, I only use lab grown, mainly because they're a lot cheaper. Also, just because they're so much more ethical. Well, there's obviously nuances to it, but they're, I mean, in my opinion, just a much better choice than buying natural diamonds.
So lab grown, like in a lab, they're taking coal. Yeah, coal, or I guess whatever.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's coal that diamonds are from, right? Or?
Yeah, so diamonds are compressed carbon. They compress into like a crystal lattice. For the lab grown process, though, it's a little bit different how they do it. They start out with like a little tiny diamond plate. And then depending on the growth method, there's two major methods. There's like CVD, which is carbon vapor deposition.
So they start off with some diamond already?
Yes, yeah, they start off with a little sliver of diamond that they put in this chamber. And then so they'll grow carbon atoms on top of it in like layers via these two different processes. So yeah, you have HPHT, which is high pressure, high temperature. That's kind of how it's formed in the earth. In the earth, it's like under the crust. You have these carbon deposits that are like crushing together over millions of years.
And they crush into diamond.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because diamonds are carbon. They're just pretty much pure. Well, they're not pure carbon, but they're
crystalline carbon.
Yeah, exactly. And then the CVD, which is the carbon vapor deposition that you kind of pump in a gas that has carbon like atoms in it, and they form a plasma almost over that like little diamond seed, and then the carbon atoms kind of like will leach onto that plate. So that's how they're grown.
And so you have a plate, and it grows into like a larger thing. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And so it'll be like kind of a square shaped thing.
Cool.
It's very interesting. And instead of like CZs, cubic zirconia, or moissanite, which are like other gemstones that kind of people use as like imitation diamonds, lab grown diamonds are chemically and atomically diamonds. Like they are diamonds.
Oh, cool.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of what makes them better as a selling point, I guess, as opposed to the other alternatives. And like there are ways to distinguish because they tend to have more, I think, like boron or nitrogen in them if they're grown in a lab. They have some more of certain atoms, so you can distinguish them, but you need like a $5,000 testing machine to distinguish it. And yeah.
So you try and get them lab grown as opposed to shipped from somewhere where they were mined out of the earth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, everyone's heard about like blood diamonds and conflict diamonds and stuff like that. And I think just like natural diamonds in general too have a lot of environmental impact because these people are moving, like hundreds of thousands of tons of dirt out of the earth and like to try and find these stones.
Yeah.
And I mean, lab grown diamonds, you're literally plugging a machine into an outlet pretty much. Like it uses power, but it's much less harmful for the environment. Not to mention the people who are doing it.
Right. And a lot of the time, we hear about, I mean, I think it's more commonly talked about like the precious metals that are built into like phones and labor practices, basically borderline to just explicitly slave labor. To get those precious metals. And I think, or I would assume unfortunately, there's similar circumstances with diamond mining.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, full disclosure to you, even with like a lot of lab grown diamonds are grown in India and China, and so you definitely have a bigger load off your chest when you're buying them, in terms of like the ethicalness. But you can't assume that there's nothing bad happening in the process of making them. Like you probably are having some exploitative labor somewhere in there, depending on who you're buying from.
Well, and so it sounds like the process still starts with a little bit of diamond to begin with. And is that still ultimately sourced from these mining operations, or where do they get that diamond to start the lab growing process?
That's a pretty good question. I would assume the first one was probably natural, but I think then they just used other like lab diamond seeds to do it.
I guess cheaper. That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
They just shave some off, and then it's a self-sustaining process.
Yeah, I mean, because it's so much cheaper. To do it with lab.
Okay. That didn't even occur to me, but
I actually haven't thought about that too. But I would assume the first one was natural.
Yeah, or when you're starting an operation. So, but yeah, so and then gold. Is that? I'm assuming there isn't really a analog. It's kind of no matter what going to be sourced from a mining operation somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, alchemy is not well. We can make gold atoms, actually. We can create gold out of other.
Oh wow! Isaac Newton was right.
Yeah, it's possible. I think they do it in like particle accelerators or something, but it's like it would take 100 years to get a gram of gold.
Right.
So
tiny amount.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, all gold comes from mines and stuff like that. But I mean, the difference with diamonds is diamonds are found in certain countries, and those countries happen to be countries that have kind of issues with labor currently in
human rights and
exactly
former colonial situations.
Yeah, exactly.
Or kind of current-ish colonial situations.
Yeah. And I mean, Russia has really big diamond mines, but you can't get diamonds from Russia anymore.
Because of sanctions. And stuff.
Yeah, because of the conflict, which I mean is good. I think that's good. But then you're kind of left with diamonds from Africa and kind of other countries on that side of the world.
Right. But so then does that mean is gold kind of more just kind of everywhere?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
we have gold mines in the U.S.
Right.
In Alaska, there's a ton of gold mining that happens. Australia, it's all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's much less of it. They still have like fair trade gold policies that kind of are in place.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, for the most part, it's much less of a concern.
Yeah, and so is that basically what you mainly work with, just gold and diamond, or what else do you work with?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I find that I work better on gold because it's more expensive, and because of that, I'm much more like kind of inclined to focus more than if it were silver, because silver is pretty much dirt cheap.
Yeah.
But I will practice on like silver or brass if I'm trying to learn something new.
Some technique or some design or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And so do you mainly, I guess like bracelets, rings, necklaces?
I do rings for the most part.
Okay.
But I mean, with my new job, I'm doing repairs. So
Gotcha,
people
yeah.
sizing rings up, sizing rings down, tightening prongs and stones, kind of soldering chains back together, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, cool. So like the work that you do at your current job is like repair stuff.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly. And I'm kind of learning, do the more advanced repairs, and so just learning more and more, which is nice.
Gotcha. Cool. And so then you want to take that and then in the future do your own kind of like, for you, is it just working with the metals? You enjoy that, or is it, I guess, what part of the art form, I guess, is most are you most interested in, or most like wanting to work on more, or wanting to continue on?
Yeah. So I mean, within the kind of jewelry and like watches kind of fall within jewelry.
Sure.
Within those, that whole industry, you kind of have there's like metalsmiths, the people who would kind of make a ring, or cast a ring or something like that. You have watchmakers, and then you have stone setters. And so the stone setters are the people who are putting stones in the ring, and that's kind of what I enjoy the most.
Sure.
So that's kind of what I've been trying to teach myself how to do, is do like the more advanced stone setting techniques, because at work I'm doing more metalsmithing stuff.
So in that entail just like polishing and setting in, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so I mean, there's
What
a
is
lot
stone setting?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways that you can get a stone to hold in a diamond. But for the most part, it's basically you want the stone to be in the diamond with metal covering it so it can't fall out.
Oh, so it's not. Oh, so it's a stone in a diamond.
No. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Like the stone in the metal.
Oh,
Yeah,
got
so
it.
like a
Got it.
diamond-
Got it.
yeah,
Got it.
yeah,
Got
yeah,
it.
yeah.
The
You-
diamond in the metal, the other stone in the metal. Got it.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
Yeah, just a gem. Putting
Sure,
a gem
sure.
in metal and then covering it with metal in some form or another. And I mean, people have been making jewelry for such a long time that
Right.
kind of the best methods have kind of come up now to do that. And so kind of trying to learn the like more intricate stuff
Mm-hmm.
is what I'm interested in.
Cool.
Yeah.
And so the stone setting is, I guess, what are some, how is that done? Like, what are some techniques?
Yeah, so I mean,
I'm assuming it's like you want to be careful not to damage the stone
well, diamonds
as it's going in.
are very hard to damage.
Sure.
Some stones get, like emeralds, for example, are super brittle. I actually cracked an emerald at work one time.
Oh, no.
That was not good, but it wasn't a very nice one, so it was not a huge deal.
Yeah.
But diamonds, you can pretty much do whatever you want to them, and they won't break. Obviously, there's a limit. But
Well, they won't get scratches or anything, or.
no, they're the hardest material that we kind of have.
Okay, cool.
So nothing really scratches a diamond except for another diamond.
Dang.
Which is, yeah, it's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, in terms of like setting, there's a bunch of different methods. I think the most common one that people see every day are just the prong settings. Like for an engagement ring, you see a big diamond in the center and it has those.
And then the like
prongs.
claws.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
Gotcha.
like kind of the most common setting. But then you see engagement rings too that have like the little strip of diamonds around the side.
Mm-hmm.
That's called like pave. And that's kind of what I'm super interested in, is basically like setting a large cluster of super tiny diamonds super close to each other.
In like an array or.
Yeah, exactly. Whether it's like a line or grid or like
Yeah.
a honeycomb pattern. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm pretty interested in. And it is not easy.
Sounds like, so these are really small
Yeah.
pieces of stone that you're putting in really small holes in a very particular
Yeah.
manner. Yeah.
Yeah, people do them with like 1 mm stones. I'm kind of working with like 2 mm stones.
Oh, good. Sorry.
Oh no, yeah.
How do you get them to stick? So is it just the metal holding it in place, or is there an adhesive, or?
No, people don't use glue for the most part, depending on the stone. With diamonds, nobody ever uses glue. Basically, for if you were to do like a pave setting, you're basically drilling a hole for the diamond to sit into, and then you're kind of using an engraver, some sort of like engraving tool to kind of carve out prongs that will be able to push,
gotcha.
but they're just much smaller prongs.
So it's a very tight fit, so it's not shaken loose at all.
Exactly.
But there's no adhesive or anything.
No, you just have metal that's pushed over the top of the stone.
Got it. Okay.
And you want as little metal covering the stone as possible,
still
keeping it secure.
But keeping it as still as possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So that sounds like a very delicate.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you're in a good position where the diamond's not going to break, but still, you're dealing with a very small space.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
Yeah, and I mean,
with not a lot of room for error necessarily, in the sense of, I don't want to make the hole too big, and now it's not. Now it's going to be too loose or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, this ring, for example, which I made, this is a different setting method.
Sure.
It's called flush setting.
I'll hold that up to
Yeah, I don't know if you guys can get in there.
Yeah, we'll be able to see it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so basically how this works is you drill a hole. Yeah, absolutely. You drill a hole in there that's the exact same size as the stone that you're putting into it.
Right.
And then you push the stone into it, and you take a smooth kind of like arrow-shaped tool, and you like go in circles around the border of the stone. And so it kind of takes that metal and like pushes it like this. Like imagine like a ball kind of fitting in here, and that covers the stone and keeps it in place.
Gotcha.
It's wildly frustrating sometimes, because if you drill the hole too big, it doesn't work.
Right. It's like, is it a lot of like, okay, I'm gonna make the hole a little bit bigger and test. And then like, a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Oh, almost there.
It's pretty much that. We have burrs that are like calibrated to like the most common sizes, like 1.5
millimeters,
I guess
2
that
millimeters.
Makes sense,
yeah.
But sometimes stones are 2.03 millimeters.
Yeah.
And they won't fit because they're a third of a millimeter too big, and so you have to kind of figure out how you're gonna widen that hole up just the tiniest amount.
Yeah. How do you? Are you eyeballing it? Is there like a really precise measuring tool that you're using? Do you do it through computers? Like how do you know how much to adjust by, or is it just eyeballing
it's for the most part eyeball. Like if you get calibrated stones that are like kind of guaranteed to be within like a few hundredths of a mil, that you probably won't have any trouble. Then so you can just kind of use a burr that's 2 millimeters, and then if you have some stuff that's within like a couple hundredths of a millimeter off, you can use a kind of like, honestly, I probably shouldn't do this, but I use like a hammering tool almost, and we'll just like kind of put the diamond over the hole and then just like smack it in pretty much.
Well, it's a hard object, can't really hurt it.
Yeah. I mean, there's like brittleness. If you were to like put a diamond on like a, I don't know, very hard block and smash it with a hammer, it might crack.
Yeah.
If you were to smash it on kind of like the edge, because they're shaped like that, it's like this edge here. Is like pretty brittle. If you were to like smash it on the girdle, that's what's called the girdle. Then you might have problems, but it's still uncommon.
How much? So how? Because I've never really bought jewelry or like expensive stones or whatever, so I don't really know what the price range is like. So like how? I guess what's the metric for determining the price of? I don't know what the measurement to say a gram or a millimeter or whatever, but like how? I just, long story short, how expensive are diamonds nowadays?
Yeah, so I mean, there's this like nifty thing we use called the 4 C's.
Which is that?
Carat, which is the weight. A carat is 200 milligrams, but that's just kind of the weight of diamonds.
Okay.
Cut, which is how well the diamond's cut, and that has to do with how much it sparkles. Clarity, which is how many inclusions are inside the diamond, which are kind of little imperfections.
Oh, okay.
And then color, which is diamonds, we think of as clear stones, like white stones, but they're kind of on a spectrum.
Okay.
And they also come in different colors. But so those are like the main determining factors. Size plays a big factor. But on average, if you were to get, say, so the color goes from D to Z, with D being the best, being like a colorless diamond.
And Z?
Z being like yellow. So it kind of goes on.
Well, I know ABC.
I think they were just trying to
They're
be
just-
cute with it, and like, we'll
okay,
start
cool.
on D for diamond or whatever.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so and then for clarity, you have it's just a bunch of weird like VS. If you've ever heard rap songs, like I got VVS diamonds and stuff like that. That's a clarity thing, which would be
Okay.
very, very slightly included, and then you have VS, which is very slightly included, and then SI, which is slightly included, and I, which is included. So that's the clarity. And then I mean on the top you have IF, which is internally flawless. So besides the surface, there's not a single inclusion in the stone.
Wow.
Then FL is flawless, which is it's a perfect stone. There's no inclusions in it. And those are nosebleed expensive.
Yeah, I was about to say, are there even diamonds out there that?
They exist. Yeah, they found some really big ones, and they go for just like millions and millions of dollars. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. But for like an average stone, say it was like a G color VS1. If I were to go through a wholesaler, it might cost me $2,000 for 1 carat. If I were to sell it, you as a consumer would probably pay like $4,000 to $6,000, probably more
Wow.
than $6,000. Yeah, but like diamonds are expensive and they're marked up a lot. But also you're buying these from stores who have to pay bills and stuff like that. It's,
Right,
the jewelry
right.
industry is about making money.
Right.
At the end
right.
of the day, much like pretty much every industry is.
And so what about like so a carat of diamond, you
Mhm.
said is like a consumer is paying 4,000 to 6,000. Is that what you said?
Yeah, for a one stone that weighs a carat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like you have smaller stones that by weight you pay by the carat, but those get much cheaper.
Right. And then I assume, gold is more like a band for like a ring. It's not necessarily going to be like just 1 carat of gold in like a thing.
Yeah.
But I assume, I guess. But to put it in perspective, what would be like 1 carat of gold worth?
Yeah, so gold we don't go by carats.
Okay.
Carats are well, we do have carat. Oh god, it's so confusing. So
Well, I've heard like 24 karat
yeah,
gold.
so for C, carat with a C is relating to weight for diamonds. Carat with a K is relating to gold, and
Oh, they're 2 different things.
yeah, they are.
Oh,
They're
okay.
completely different. Yeah, so carat for diamond is purity. So the carat system is out of 24, right? So the most common thing we have in America is 14 karat gold,
Okay.
which would be 14 over 24 parts gold. Which
Okay,
comes
so
around
carat for the diamond is the 200 milligrams.
Yeah, that's the weight. Yeah.
And then for gold, it's completely different.
Completely different. Gold's
Okay.
more priced by the gram.
That's not confusing at all.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's pretty annoying.
Sure.
But yeah, so gold's priced by the gram for the most part. But based on the purity, which yeah, is out of 24 parts pure gold, we see in the U.S. 14 and 18 karat and 10 karat are what we mainly go by.
Mm-hmm.
That like a gold band, I don't know, on average you'd probably pay maybe like $800 as a consumer. Stores won't tell you the gram weight for the most part unless you ask.
Like, would you have an estimate, like maybe like what 1 gram
Oh yeah, so
would cost
yeah,
of
just
gold?
a melt value, an ounce of gold right now is around $2,500. We use a weird metric system or a weird weight system. We use troy ounces for precious metals, which is 31.1 grams. Per
Okay.
ounce.
So to put it in perspective,
Mhm.
what was a diamond carat? 200 milligrams.
Yeah.
200 milligrams of diamond is 4 to 6 grand.
Yeah.
And like, an ounce, or I guess what you said, 30 grams
Yeah,
of gold is like $800.
yeah, and that's about like 150 carats or 1,500 carats, I think.
Oh, well, okay.
If you were to convert it from grams to carats,
The point being is that gold's a lot cheaper.
much cheaper by weight. Yeah, it's kind of 1,500 times cheaper. Or
Yeah.
something like that. It's all dependent, but yeah, gold's much cheaper.
Yeah.
But you obviously need a lot more of it for jewelry.
Right, right. Because again, it's a diamond, like a single diamond stone, or like an array of small stones versus like the actual band or the
Yeah.
actual material.
Exactly.
Things are set in. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's and then I mean if you look at lab diamonds though, those prices are absolutely crazy how much lower they are, and I think that's also an important thing to think about.
Oh, okay.
You can get like a 1 carat, exact same specs as that natural that I told you would be $4,000 to $6,000, $4,600.
Wow.
Yeah.
So why?
That's kind of a high price. That's like a retail price on that.
So the same amount of material, lab grown,
Mm-hmm.
like a tenth of the price.
Yep.
Why is that? Is it just people value like, oh, this came right out of the ground more?
Yeah. It's more of the reason diamonds are expensive, which I think is important to understanding. I mean, this kind of thing is propaganda almost and manipulation. You saw all these campaigns and like I think it was around the 20s, 30s, 40s. These people saying you don't love your partner unless
Right,
you
you
buy
gotta
them a
get her a diamond ring.
And so they get everyone hooked on this
He's
idea.
not worth anything if he doesn't get you a diamond ring.
Exactly. You get them hooked on the idea of buying a diamond.
Right.
And then you shoot the price up, and that's kind of what a couple big companies have done. And so like diamonds are inflated. You know,
Got it.
They're very common. They're not a super uncommon stone. But
And so big companies have this like this industry of mining diamonds and that fuel the price. But then now there's like other like manufacturers, so to speak, or procurers or whatever, producers. I'll just say producers.
Yeah.
Of diamonds.
Yeah.
In the lab, that it's like, we'll do this, or we'll sell this to you for
because
cheaper.
they can just go buy the machine from anywhere and start cooking up diamonds themselves if they want to. It's and so they're much cheaper. And honestly, these big companies have been like panicking. You see Martin Rappaport. He's a guy I think his father founded the Rap Sheet, which is kind of like the industry standard pricing for natural diamonds. I saw a video of him trying to convince people to buy naturals instead of labs, and the guy looked like he was like having a meltdown pretty much, like because it's labs are starting to really impact the diamond industry.
Is there a noticeable difference? Like if you had like let's say a diamond, I know this would be huge obviously, but like big enough where you could really easily see a diamond this big from the ground and a diamond this big from the lab, and hold them out to each other. Would you likely be able to tell the difference, or they're just diamonds either way?
I mean, 9 times out of 10, the one grown in a lab would look better.
Really?
Yeah, they come out.
It doesn't make sense, but
yeah, I mean, that's in a controlled environment. But yeah, I mean, by the naked eye, even like the standard diamond testing pens that most jewelry stores have, they can't determine between lab or natural diamonds.
Well, so I guess that's a good thing where you have a way of producing or getting diamonds. I'll just say producing diamonds that is on the whole, obviously not 100%, but like on the whole more ethical.
Oh yeah, I mean it's hands down, yeah.
Right. 9 times out of 10 looks better, and it's a tenth of the price. I mean that sounds like a kind of a positive. Yeah. Are there any downsides to this, or?
I mean, no. Like honestly, okay, yeah. So there are a couple things to factor in, which is if you were to sell back to a business, if you're buying a lab diamond, you're not going to get any of your money back. But I mean, it's pretty easy to kind of justify this. If you were to buy a natural diamond for say $4,000 to $6,000,
so there's no resale value.
No.
But why is that?
Just because they're kind of mass produced, they're a little bit harder to sell. Okay. There's a lot of them that are being like kind of put out. This is so don't expect to get any money for your stone.
Sure.
If you were to sell it, ideally, I mean, if you're getting married, you don't want to have to sell your.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? This is just kind of like what ifs. But say you spent $400 for that stone, you're at $400, right?
Versus
if you buy it
4,000.
Versus, well, I mean, you get your money back
sure.
for a natural diamond because they're actually more desirable. But if you bought a $6,000 diamond, you'd be lucky to get like $3,000 back for it. So you're losing 400 versus losing 3,000.
Sure,
it's pretty easy. Other than that, there's not really any like big differences or problems with buying lab-grown diamonds. It's kind of like, in my opinion, what people should be doing, and I think our generation is much more leaning towards that because you can buy a nice engagement ring with the metal, with the stone for $1,000 that your partner probably will love, and then you can take the rest of that money that say you're going to spend like $5,000. You have an extra $4,000 there. Go take a nice honeymoon. Go have a nice vacation.
Right,
save
and you did this wonderful gesture to your partner or whoever, someone that you care about, and you are at least more than you're not as like obviously directly involved in really harmful exploitative practices.
Exactly, yeah, and you're saving money. I mean, and that's like there's all the ethics and stuff, but I think the average person cares more about saving money than the ethical side.
Still, that's an extra plus.
You save the money and you get the more ethical part of it as well, which is nice. And I mean, I don't want to like bash naturals that much. We have like practices in place called the Kimberley process for natural diamonds, where they're basically tagged at every single step of the way as they travel around the world. So conflict diamonds in general are much less like prevalent. They're not really a huge issue nowadays. But at the end of the day, you're still paying for a stone that came out of the ground that they had to move a ton of earth for, and the
Right.
people are still sitting, knee deep in water all day, like sifting a little sieve.
Right.
looking for
At the
diamonds.
minimum, even if, hypothetically everyone along the process is, as economically autonomous and is getting paid what they deserve or whatever.
Yeah.
There's still an environmental impact.
Yeah, but they're not getting paid what they deserve.
I know they're not.
Yeah,
but like I'm
if they
saying,
were-
even if there was a
Yes,
hypothetical,
yeah, lab diamonds, it's gas and power pretty much.
Yeah.
To make them, as opposed to moving. Like there's pictures of diamond mines in Russia.
yeah,
Like this whole campus is like the size of one of these holes these people have dug in the ground. It's
this
crazy.
whole campus, you said?
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and like
Yeah.
crazy deep.
Yeah.
It's insane how much earth they move to find these stones.
Yeah.
So
Well, we are basically at time,
Okay.
but that was really, really fascinating.
yeah, it's super interesting.
Thank you so much. As we wrap up here, what are you looking forward to?
I'm definitely really excited to keep on learning more stuff about repairing and making jewelry, and kind of just seeing where that takes me in my future.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm really looking forward to that.
Rad, man.
Yeah,
All right. Well, thank you all so much for watching,
thanks.
and have a good one. Bye-bye.